Hello and welcome to yet another Podcast Pontifications with me, Evo Terra. If you're watching this on video, this is not a podcast. This is a video where I talk about podcasting. You can get the podcast at podcastpontifications.com. Today on the program, it's Monday morning, I am going to start a 4-part series which I am calling Know Your Podcast, Know Yourself. Yeah, for the next 4 days, this is what we're going to talk about in these little short vignettes. And today, specifically, I want to focus in on the appearance of your show. Now, the idea here is this is not getting technical. I don't want to get technical at all. I want you to look at what you've been doing for your show, maybe brand new, maybe you haven't started yet, but those of you who have started a long time ago, I want to give you some things you might want to check out, because just like people change, podcasts change. The processes that which you use to make your podcast have changed, and I want you to think about things. Sometimes we don't do things with a lot of intention. We do things, and then they're done, and we don't think about them anymore. In my business, I work mostly with business podcasts who have a lot less time to learn all of the things, which is why they seek out someone like me, a podcast strategist who focuses on businesses to help take care of the technical stuff. But in doing that technical stuff, there are a lot of front-facing things that I wish my clients, quite honestly, would care more about. And I try to help them care about it as much as possible. But anyhow, so today, part 1 of a 4-part series, which is called Know Your Podcast, Know Yourself, designed to get your podcast in the perfect shape for 2019, or at least put you in a position to where you take a more attentive, more whatever the word I'm looking for is, do 2019 with more intent for your particular show. Again, without getting in the technical weeds, none of that stuff. So let's talk today. Let's spend the rest of our time today explaining to you the importance of 3 big things that impact your podcast that you probably haven't thought about since you put your podcast live. And that's going to be, and this is going to sound weird, so stick with me, the title of your show, the description of your show, and the artwork for your show. These are things that many of my clients have come into without much of an understanding of. Or, I guess a better way to say that is, typically what they have in mind when I finally ask them for those 3 things, title, description, and artwork, they get drastically changed after I'm done with them, because I give them some understanding of what's going on. But for you, if you're an existing podcaster, you may already have a title. Well, you already have a title and a description and an image, and I want to give you some ways to think about this. Because just like the outside of our outward appearance of our body, our title, our description, and our artwork oftentimes is how people react to our show before they start listening. They're going to decide whether or not they want to engage with your show, oftentimes based on those 3 things. What's your title? What's your description? And what's your artwork look like? So let's tackle all of those, shall we? Let's go to the most important one possibly first. That's your title. Okay? That's the title of your show. I want to give you some tips for titling your show, thinking about your title of your show so that it's good to go for 2019. If you're already happy with the title of your show, you're probably okay, but still, you should take a look at it. Not only have there been some new changes in how titles work, specifically, no more filling your title with a bunch of garbage keywords. Apple is now kicking people out for that. The title should also be descriptive. Oh, by the way, here's a trick. If you change your title, nothing bad happens. You don't lose any subscribers, nothing. You can make as many changes to your title as you want. You can completely rewrite your title if you want with totally different words, totally different letters. I don't really care. It will not impact anybody who's currently listening to your show. So that's the good news. Keep in mind, all these changes I'm talking about today, all these possible options, will not impact existing listeners whatsoever. Okay? Keep that in mind. So your title. A couple of things to do. If it has the word podcast in it, exception. This is called Podcast Pontifications, but it's about podcasting. Your show is likely not about podcasting. Your show is a podcast. If you have the name podcast in your show, try to take it out. Just really try to do that. Not that we're afraid of the word podcasting, but it's kind of redundant. You don't know many TV shows that are the name of the show plus TV show behind it. It doesn't work that way. Yeah, there's a few radio shows that still say radio in there, but get rid of that if you can. Get the word out. And also, if it's got your name in it and your big front and center, that's awesome. But if it's just called, the Chrissy Show, that may not be terribly helpful. So I would ask you to go back and rethink about what is the topic that I talk about all the time on the show, and just change your title. Just change it to something simple and succinct that actually describes what it is. That's number one. Number two, the description. The description of your show is oftentimes, I see, completely overlooked by clients. So here's the idea about description. I'll give you some high-level tips. Your description isn't for anyone who is currently listening to your show. 100%, your description is designed to entice people to listen. The words that you use in there do not come up on search. They're not important for any other reason than when a human eyeball lands on that, they read it and they say, yes, that's the kind of show I want to listen to. My recommendation, keep it around 500 characters. Not words, 500 characters. So twice the size of a tweet. Of the new tweets, if you will, or 3 times the size of the old tweets. However, keep it around 500 characters. Too short is just as bad as too long. Too long just means it gets truncated. No one's going to read that much. You want them to give about, aha, boom, I can see this, I read this, it seems like something I want to get. Around 500 characters, here's another tip. The description never shows up on its own. So don't repeat the title. Don't do that. You don't need to repeat the title in there. You don't need to say, The Chrissy Show is all about. No, you don't need to do that. It's clearly what they're reading. So just tell me. Start with questions. Those are really good. Hey, do you want to know about this? Do you find these things interesting? Here's how we will answer all those sorts of things. 500 characters. Rewrite that title. You probably don't even know what your title says. Go back and look at your title and rewrite your description. You know what your description says. Go back and rewrite your description. 500 characters is your target. That's your target. The third thing, artwork. The artwork that represents your show's brand when it's on people's players, as well as to the brand new person listening. And it's the brand new person potentially listening to you that we're doing this for. Does your artwork look good? Does it look like it was hastily assembled? Does it use weird contrasting colors that just look like garbage? I mean, it doesn't take a lot of research to find out what good-looking artwork looks like. Just pull up Apple Podcasts on your phone. Or if you don't have an iPhone, that's fine. Go to any of the other podcast apps that you have on your phone. Or if all else fails, go to iTunes on the web. Go to Apple's iTunes page on the web and look at what the top shows are looking for. They're well produced. And here's the other trick. They look good at the size of a postage stamp. That's one more key. Another thing, if you're an existing podcaster, your artwork, and this is going to get a little bit technical, I'm going to give you two numbers that you have to make sure. And if you're not sure, download your artwork and check. Your artwork should be 3,000 pixels square. 3,000 pixels, not 3,000 and 3001, not 1,200, not 500, but 3,000 pixels. That's number one. 3,000 pixels in dimensions square. That's number one. Number two is 500 kilobytes. That's the maximum size of your file and weight goes. I've seen way too many shows that have too large of artwork that is also way heavy. That's not good. 3,000 square, less than 500K. And it needs to look good the size of a postage stamp. Let's start there with this ongoing mini-series, shall we? I want you all, right now, your homework, go look at your title. Go look at your description and go look deeply at your artwork and make the changes you want to make. Okay? Great. We'll do more of these Know Your Podcast, Know Yourself videos because I shall be back tomorrow with yet another podcast pontifications. Cheers.